I think you can do much better than that. So put your hands together. Such a great prophetic time, great prophetic song for such a time as this. In Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 34, the Bible declares, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to every people. Psalm 33 and verse 12, the 8th clause. The psalmist, I believe it was David, wrote, and therein said, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Allow me to stand on the platform of that song and call you to patriotism. My friends, I have a very deep admiration for the architectural documents that forged what today has become a premier Christian nation in its ideals. This nation called those United States of America. Those great documents forged the nation into the phenomenon that she became as one of the foremost world powers. And one of the many things I enjoy about the American state is the spirit of patriotism. Patriotism is like an anchor, so that though the ship may drift from left to right, though the ship may toss and turn from Republican extremes to Democratic extremes on one side, the anchor holds within the sway, so that she never tosses too far to beleaguer herself and defeat her own attainments. Mark Twain is reported to have said that patriotism is supporting your country all the time and supporting your government only when she deserves it. My friends, I am really bothered by the selfishness and greed in the Nigerian nation, particularly in her political class. And I do not think that an election or who wins the election is necessarily going to fix the Nigerian challenge. I think that fixing the Nigerian challenge belongs to you and I, to the pastor and the plumber, to the trader and the trailer driver, to the doctor and the lawyer, to the mechanic and to the menial laborer, to the bricklayer and to the building contractor, to the young and to the old, to the banker and to the businessman. I believe that it really depends on how we treat one another. Because, my friends, whenever you mistreat another Nigerian, you are mistreating Nigeria. Whenever you cheat another Nigerian, you are cheating Nigeria. Whenever you steal from the coffers of the Nigerian treasury, you are stealing from Nigeria. Whenever you benefit from the proceeds of crime, you impair our growth and our development. So much so that what was once a beautiful young lady with great promise of a providential future that looked 55 or so years ago like the first African state that would become a first world nation. But today, because of the wrong that we all have done to the country, she looks more emaciated and malnourished, rickety and frail, worn and torn, and almost looks depraved of her promise. The Nigerian challenge is interesting to note because it embodies a crisis of values, that we have discarded our values and we value thieves instead of prosecuting them. We value prosperity over posterity. We value instant gratification over delayed gratification. We ask, what will my country do for me? But we do not ask, what can I do for my country? Systematically, gangsters have overtaken and overrun political processes, political parties, so that from far afield, observers from Western nations, first world nations, developed nations, industrialized nations, look at our calamity, and they're almost about to deem us a rogue nation because of the ilk that have seized the levers of power and have bastardized what looked like a great nation in the making. Let's not lie to ourselves. Our challenge as Nigerians is very significant, and if we leave the ship to drift, we might not have a country in a few years. I know many of my friends will not dare to stand up to tell these truths, but I have a conscience before God to not misuse an opportunity like this and call Nigeria back to patriotism. However, my friends, I still believe in Nigeria, just as I think that many of you also believe. But I am quite ashamed of her behavior and her condition. And when I speak of the behavior and the condition of Nigeria, I refer to all of us, the pastor and the teacher, the lawyer and the parishioner, the trailer driver and the trader, the Igbo and the Yoruba, the Fulani and the Hausa, the Anang and the Ibibio, all of us bundled together. And until we recognize what is wrong with our country and what we contributed to her multiple sclerosis, her internalized self-destructive capacity, I don't believe that we will fix it by an election or overnight. Please don't tell me that 2 men or 10 men can overpower 130 million patriotic Nigerians. The problem is that, are we really patriotic? Where is Nigerian patriotism? To me, song stirs me to the root of my soul, to the core of my spirit. Our national pride and genuine national patriotism was birthed nearly 60, maybe 65 years ago, with the likes of the great Nnamdi Azikiwe, Obafemi Awolowo, and the man I would deem to be the father of national patriotism, Herbert Badmus Macaulay. And when you heard them speak and saw how they fought, not only for independence, but for a sovereign nation that would be self-determining, it stirs the soul to think of what Nigeria could have been, what Nigeria would have been if we stayed to our course. To my friends, the gubernatorial candidates, presidential candidates, eternity will judge you if you win an election and do not do what is most necessitated by our difficult circumstances coupled with our great potential as a nation. It is time to awaken patriotism. When I hear the American Star-Spangled Banner or the American Battle Hymn of the Republic, or see them deliver 21 gun salutes to celebrate men who lived and died to fight for freedom, to fight for values, to fight for justice, for righteousness, for freedom of speech, for democratic institutions to stand tall so that we could regulate our nation correctly and introduce justice as an arbiter to ensure freedom, but that if my freedoms impinged on your freedoms, justice would stand up to become the arbiter. I too want to belong to a great nation. I want to belong to somewhere that stands and fights for values that exalt justice and righteousness. I want to belong to somewhere that ensures that human rights and the sanctity of life are sacrosanct. I want to belong to somewhere that builds great national monuments so that national identity is bolstered and emboldened, so that our young children can look upon the work of their father's generation and say that I belong to the pedigree of greatness. I want to belong to a great country. My friends, when I stand beside a Canadian, an American, a Briton, a Norwegian, when I stand beside now a Ghanaian, when I stand beside a Belgian, I don't want to feel ashamed because of what misleadership and misgovernance over the nearly 60 years of our existence has done to what was once a beautiful lady called Nigeria, but now is so emaciated and needs specialized intensive care if she's to make it out of the sickness called multiple sclerosis. But I still have great hope, and you are that great hope. Will you return to patriotism? Will you hear the song of Timmy Dakolo and recognize that it's a call to you to stand up for our best ideals and best values? Will you heed the call that says it is proper and right for you and I to be patriots, for you and I to stand for our country all the time, and to stand for our governments when they really, really deserve it? True patriotism tells us to learn politeness and diplomacy, tact and propriety, but we must also speak truth to power, especially when the power is about to emerge. In 2019, we're faced with a great election. I believe it possibly is the most defining moment in our country's history in all 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. I therefore want to urge you to offer your fervent, resilient prayers like never before for our country. And when you go to the polling booth, vote your values, vote your conscience, and vote what will uplift Nigeria. I'm gladdened in Lagos State that the two candidates that are here today are both good men, they are both good friends. And if either one of them comes into office, I believe Lagos State will get better and will continue to forge ahead with progressive acceleration. When I also see the presidential candidates that are here, the likes of a Kingsley Mohalu and a Fela Durotoye, two men of great value, two men I would dare to call great patriots of our nation. When I consider that their chances perhaps are slim because of the nature of our political process, my hope must remain resilient, that if they don't win this time, their kind will win sooner or later. But whether they will win sooner or later depends on people like you and me. I believe that in this cordon of 7,000 people, so-called VIPs and VVIPs, that Nigeria rests in your hands, and we will ruin the future of our children if you and I do not stand up to begin to insist on higher standards and better governance and a better political process. One of the things that has happened is the political class, with its many well-meaning men and women, have suffered a great loss. Many of the parties have been hijacked by neo-fascists, terrorists, gangsters, and men and women who in the leadership of our political parties make Nigeria look worse than she could be. But we must rise, and we must become true patriots. To lead us in prayer for our nation, we're going to ask two men that I respect deeply. So I ask you to join them in your faith and with your agreement. As the first will come and pray for our country and her immediate future. And the second will also come and pray for our country. And then the third man will come to pray for the elections. And we're insisting that the elections are free, that they are fair, that they are credible, that they are transparent, and that the process of casting your vote will be peaceful. That regardless of who wins, peace will be the ultimate winner. And that God will reign through whoever Nigerians elect as their leaders. At this time, would you please receive to the microphone the very estimable pastor of the Guiding Light Assembly. He happens to be my oldest brother and a fine reverend gentleman. Please receive Pastor Wale Adefarasin as he comes to lead us in prayer. Pastor Wale, would you come please, sir?
Would you kindly rise to your feet as I make some prophetic declarations over Nigeria and her people? I want you, if you agree, to shout a resounding amen, so that what I declare shall be established. Nigeria is the most populous nation in Africa. Our population shall be a blessing and not a curse. Nigerians will be known for their generosity. Nigerians will be known for their honesty. Nigerians will be known for their creativity. Nigerians will be known for their industry. Nigerians will be known for their hard work. Nigerians will be known for their happiness. Nigerians will be known to be peacemakers and peaceable people. And I declare over Nigeria, every resource that Almighty God has blessed us with will be a blessing and not a curse. That we will learn to use all that God has given us to His glory. I declare over our nation that we will attain our potential. Our potential will be realized in the name of Jesus. I declare there shall be no war between Nigeria